Hello everyone. Welcome to Turkish Spotlight Secrets. If you're new here, we slow fast headlines down and tell the whole story with context you can trust, and that your text-to-speech will read smoothly. Today's video looks at a delicate situation that sparked a media storm, reports that Navruz privately requested a DNA test connected to Alina Boz's baby, whose father is Umut. We'll walk through how the rumor ignited, what insiders say actually happened, how each person responded, what the test resolved, and why this chapter might end up showing more maturity than scandal. Before we start, please subscribe, hit like, and consider tapping join if you want more careful long-form breakdowns like this one. Let's begin with the backdrop. For years, Navruz and Alina Boz have been a fan-favorite pairing, two actors with a believable rhythm on screen and an easy rapport during promos. Their chemistry in Elmi Bayrakma turned casual viewers into dedicated followers. Even long after that project, compilations of their scenes kept circulating with captions that sounded half like nostalgia, half like a wish for a reunion. But away from edits and hashtags, life moved forward in different directions. Alina started a relationship with Umut, a low-profile, business-minded figure who prefers privacy to public appearances. In time, happy news began to take shape. Alina was expecting. That's where the timeline should have stayed, two people building a family at their own pace, with a third person, Alp, respectfully outside the frame. But feelings don't always line up neatly with frames. According to several consistent accounts, Alp requested a private conversation, away from cameras and away from set. He raised a difficult subject carefully, acknowledging that a question, unanswered, had been weighing on him. The request for a DNA test, as described by insiders, wasn't theatrical or accusatory, it was quiet and specific. He wanted clarity. He wanted to avoid living under speculation he couldn't disprove or confirm. And he wanted it handled discreetly, for everyone's sake. If the story had ended there, we likely wouldn't be here. But the entertainment ecosystem rarely lets private requests remain private. Word leaked, then headlines multiplied, and within hours social feeds were split into three camps. One group defended Alp's right to ask, arguing that certainty is better than unspoken doubt. Another group saw the request as an intrusion into a calm, hopeful season for Alina and Umut. A third tried to keep the temperature down, let the people involved decide, take the test if they choose, and move forward with dignity. Meanwhile, the three principals stayed mostly silent, which is often the wisest move and the hardest one to hold when noise is peaking. Let's pause and examine motive and method, two things the internet tends to flatten. Motive: supporters say Alp's request rose from unresolved emotion and a desire not to carry a rumor into the future. Critics say timing matters and pregnancy is a time to protect peace. Method: sources close to the situation say the approach was private and respectful, not a public stunt. He didn't shop the story, didn't tease it, didn't run to a microphone. He asked quietly. That doesn't mean the request felt easy on the receiving end, but the manner of asking matters in how a story unfolds. Now, to Alina and Umut. Surprise was the first reaction, and that is understandable. When you are preparing to welcome a child, your energy is invested in health, logistics, and hope. However, after the first wave, what appears to have guided their decision was a simple calculation: certainty now prevents questions later. According to people close to them, it was Alina who framed the path forward. If clarity ends speculation, then clarity is an act of care for the baby and for everyone involved. Umut, initially protective and upset, as many would be, reportedly agreed on the condition that the process stay private, efficient, and final. The public, of course, didn't wait for results to form conclusions. Some accounts tried to weaponize old clips and interviews, splicing timelines together that never actually overlapped. Others went the opposite direction and posted messages of support for Alina's health, reminding everyone that pregnancy is not a plot point but a human season that deserves gentleness. A few voices, quieter but valuable, urged restraint for Alp as well, recognizing that asking a hard question privately is not the same as trying to ignite chaos publicly. When results arrived, they did what results are meant to do: they closed a door. The test confirmed what Alina and Umut believed all along: Umut is the biological father. Relief followed, not triumphalism. Alp, informed privately, sent congratulations and stepped back. There was no defensive press tour, no attempt to reframe the story. Instead, a short message, reported by people who saw it, wished the family health and peace and emphasized that a baby surrounded by love is what matters most. That tone changed the internet's temperature more effectively than any crafted statement could have done. It replaced friction with room to breathe. But a result is only one layer. There's the aftermath, what each person chooses next. For Alina, the path looked mercifully ordinary: doctor appointments, family check-ins, a focused circle of friends, and the practical tasks that come before a newborn arrives. For Umut, the path was protection, guarding their privacy, shielding their schedule, and ignoring the bait of speculative questions. For Alp, the path was retreat, back to work, back to routine, back to the kind of schedule that keeps the mind from replaying a hard week in loops. What, then, should fans take from a chapter like this? First, clarity and kindness are not opposites. You can ask for clarity with respect, you can deliver clarity without cruelty. Second, timing is not a trivial detail. Even private requests reverberate differently during pregnancy, and acknowledging that doesn't require vilifying the person who asked. Third, the way a story ends matters. It would have been easy for any of the three to score points publicly. None chose that route. Of course, the larger industry can't help but read for subtext: will this change casting? Will it affect brand deals? Will it reshape how future projects position press days with overlapping histories? The most level answer is also the least dramatic. Producers want stability and professionalism. Alp continuing to show up on time and deliver the work is a stabilizing signal. Alina moving through interviews with calm, when she decides the time is right, will be another. Umut staying out of the spectacle is, ironically, a contribution to everyone's ability to move forward. There's also a lesson for the rest of us about parasocial boundaries. When we love a pairing on screen, we start to feel ownership over how people off-screen should behave. That feeling is powerful, and often unfair. The healthiest fandoms learn to redirect that energy back into the work, stream the shows, celebrate the craft, and let private lives remain private unless people invite you in. You might be asking why this deserves a long, careful video instead of a quick hot take. Because the easy version of this story is already everywhere, and it's often the least true. The better version is harder to tell, it allows everyone to be human. Alp doesn't become a villain for asking a hard question privately. Alina doesn't become a symbol instead of a person going through pregnancy under a spotlight. Umut doesn't become a plot device in someone else's narrative. The baby doesn't become a headline at all. In that spirit, consider how you comment, what you share, and which accounts you amplify. Attention is a currency, spend it on decency. Here's your clean summary for text-to-speech listeners who prefer the short version at the end. Reports say Alp Navruz privately requested a DNA test connected to Alina Boz's pregnancy, whose partner is Umut. The request was made discreetly, the leak turned it into a public storm. After discussions, Alina and Umut agreed to the test for clarity. Results confirmed Umut is the father. Reactions from all sides stayed measured. Alp sent congratulations and stepped back. Alina and Umut focused on family. The episode closes not with spectacle, but with certainty, and a reminder that respect can coexist with truth. If you value this kind of careful storytelling, please like the video, subscribe to Turkish Spotlight Secrets, and ring the bell so you're first to hear our next deep dive. In the comments, tell us what you think is the right balance between privacy and clarity when public figures face deeply personal questions. Your thoughtful takes help shape the stories we choose next. Thank you for watching. Take care, and goodbye.